Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Can you hear me? We're gonna do dishes together. I feel like I need to go over a couple things, but maybe I don't. I know my humor is not understood. Someone not understanding my approaches. Now she's doing this accent, but she'll go into another one. Why don't you have a dishwasher? Why don't you have a microwave? Why don't you have this? Why don't you have that? Why don't you do this? Or why don't you do that? Will she be able to stay on track, Lord? Can you help her, Lord? I'm alright right now. It doesn't mean I will be in a few hours or so, but listen to me. Now, I hope it's false news. Hail Hitler's at the soccer game at the Olympics? Is everything alright over in Paris? It doesn't seem so. Maybe they should pack up and try another locale to finish up the Olympics. How about we just delay it a bit? Hey, let's pack up the buses and go down, go to another place. La la la. Alright, that and I barely ever get anyone to comment on Quora with my answers and questions, but boy, when it comes to, well, I'm just gonna say transgender agenda, man, they'll come out of the woodwork at me. But I try my best to be firm, not mean, even though they're being mean. I mean, they are. That's what's so kooky about that whole thing, you know what I mean? It's like, inclusive. And people discuss this all the time, but inclusive. But you can't say what you want. Well, anyhow, so I did some more cooking this week. I don't know, wasn't good whatever was going on for me. Well, I mean, we went from gay month to orgies in France on stage for the opening Olympics. I know that'll make Jesus so happy in heaven. Although he knows the end for all this, so that's the sad part. Because if you've tried to know Jesus or spend any time at all trying in any situation to learn spirituality, is you can understand God's sadness and also his anger. See, but a lot of that has been suppressed from the churches, and then anger has been misused so much instead of just words. Now, some would say Jesus never got passionate. He never got upset with his words. He did. Now, I'll admit, my experiment with trying to help preserve free speech, free choices, and free expression probably is not my best choice. And Jesus and I are going to work that out eventually. But if something's messed up enough, I might get strong language. Third or fourth point I need to clear up from this week is, you should not be making fun of the Pope, young lady. Well, I'm not to disrespect any of the followers, believers of Catholicism. Goodness gracious, it's one of the biggest religions of the world. They own most of the world. Yes, I put bunch of dishes away. Because we're learning new ways to live again that don't require air conditioning. No, I never had a dishwasher. I don't like them. Now, there's times I might have complained about doing dishes because I was going through something from my memories. Those are gone now. And we put most of the dishes up, so when these are done, well, there's not any more to get out of the cupboard. Alright, so the Pope jokes was because I know a lot of people have refused God and left God. That was charming, that little flippy flop. What's this? You've got developing it? And that they just never would go back to God. And it's the darndest truth. Now, those boarding schools and stuff, not good. Not good for someone's faith. So for me, I would say I had a lazy summer, a lazy winter, but man, overall, it's not perfect. Like a week or two ago, it was somewhere near the full moon prior, and I was having some form of anxiety just really came back bad. I was waking up with it. I was going to bed somewhat that way. But, I got in that mess here with these false reports, and it did stress me out. And because I knew that I had erred so greatly in my response mechanisms, but not as greatly as that was recorded. Now, there's something that may happen or may not, and I have to be super vague about it because it's not for a long time, and it may not happen. I mean, when I mean long time, I'm going to be vague there too. But there may be a door opening somewhere somewhat exotic. Oh, it wouldn't have been our pick, but we're going to see. And it might just be a break, a momentary break. But then again, my husband said, don't you utter a word, meaning don't say where, I hope. Is that okay? I hope it's not bad. I don't know, is that alright? Because I'm like super excited, a part of me, but then a part of me not. But who knows, maybe it won't go that way. Maybe I'll be done checked out by then. Because the physical injuries from the bomb and all that, not good, and I haven't done my Anak foot bath, and then the other thing. All together in one. All together now. All together now. All together now. All together now. What else? I'm out. I can't. I was gung-ho. Whoo. And you do what you gotta do. But, I'm out politically. I mean, I'll still rant and rave, but I think it's time that I leave that. I've got to leave that. And I missed going to Francis Smart Gorgeous. I'm so sorry. And that's not, I'm afraid that it could be taken the wrong way. He's been doing these retreats, I don't know how long, maybe his whole life, maybe he increased them. I think he ministers mostly to young men. But I would occasionally clip on there because I don't know when he popped up, some years back. He's so full of light that his energy is just bouncing with the Lord. It truly is. But he can be funny, and I don't know if he knows he's being funny. But boy, he can be really funny. I mean, he really can. It's like no joke there. And he does this thing, and it ain't funny. It's not surrounded by funny, though, because he does the serious scripture and stuff and about these situations going on. And he actually was on a retreat when the ceremony started, and he's trying to stay out of the outrage, and because he's saying he's not surprised. But it's pretty funny, and he does a nice 72-hour retreat, which I believe I need to try something quick. Or I won't see if there's a semi-happy ending around the earth. And maybe I wouldn't anyways, because of the bombardment of several different situations. I got to go get the fabric to put under the... So yeah, I'm gonna have to step it up. Current trends didn't work. Moving here didn't help. I gotta make a commitment to something. But I have to be somewhere where I'm safe. Can't be having me just out wandering around in the woods by myself. I'm sorry, it's not a safe situation. And that's from trial and error. I actually, when I would have to go back to my main handler's property, there was plenty of land, so I would pitch a tent, check on my son, we'd go back and forth, bike rides, I'd go up to the house, he'd come out to see me. But I had to have the tent. I couldn't, there was the abuse that had occurred in the home too many times, and so when the weather was permitted, I would have a tent, but he interfered with that too, so then I had to move the tent. But mainly it's because there was, alright, we don't want to get into that right now, but the last season that I had pitched a tent there, it would have been 2005 or 6. Beat me up real bad. Well, anyhow, I had pitched a tent there more than once, and to get peace with the Lord, but honestly, there was a wanderer, one or two wanderers. It was very bizarro. There was property backed up near the college, but it's mostly forest, like preserve area. And he was homeless, and he was foreign, and just the whole thing was really bizarro. So then I ended up having to move my tent up closer to the house, which I didn't want to do. And I started to get a little bit gun shy with, oh God, can I even say that anymore? With just me pitching a tent. I couldn't do it no more. It wasn't safe, because it wasn't this only random person that came popping up. And they wouldn't have been able to know where my tent was, where I had the one time. There's like a road that was put in, a driveway in the back property and near that spot. So because of the water situation, I am then filling the one side with the hot too. And it is hard to do dishes by hand when it's humid, hot, and we're still understanding, like trying to learn about the old house, because there is a way to kind of navigate with like enclosed cool air and then kind of recirculate from another area. "13 minutes doing dishes." I am going to stay away from the Olympics. I haven't watched in years, and I'm going to be honest right now. I'm going to tell you why. Long time ago, way back in the Stone Age, I was a competitive roller skater, and I also did participate in, not the Olympics, the pre, so it's like the Sports Festival Olympics. It's like the pre, I'm saying it wrong. That's how ancient it is. My family was trying to force me to stay in the sport, that was all I was good at. I needed to get a grip. That's all I'll ever know. I'll never be good at anything else. And I was burned out. I had done it my whole childhood. I'd felt like I missed out on other things that I really wanted to learn and acquire skills. I then wanted to go on missions trips. That was being shut down. And I knew that I didn't really want to run the family business, but I would if it could kind of work out. But it doesn't work out when you're owned by malignants who periodically pop up in the business, and they just love to be jerks. And you don't get paid enough, but you're convinced that you are being paid enough, and it was just a mess. And I wanted to open up new avenues for the building, like bring in ministers or even receptions, business meetings, all kinds of things really could have been a potential. because it was struggling. The business was struggling. We were fully reliant on just school parties. And where is she going now? Okay, so I had lost my competitive edge. I was no longer doing well in skating independently. I'd had enough injuries to the neck and some things that my equilibrium on my skates was messed up. I was sick of the eating disorder, the pettiness of the sport, just, women getting gossiped about that were having weight issues because we had all had at some point either been encouraged by a peer or someone else or a skating partner or coach to do restrictive dieting. So I needed to get out of that whole realm. I really thought I was going to do some kind of work for the Lord. Did not appear I was going to have any major addiction problems at that time, but it didn't mean that I hadn't already snuck and drank with some peers. And I could see that I didn't drink like everyone else, meaning I didn't really feel it. I mean, what they were drinking and what I was drinking, I didn't feel it. Like I would still hold the ability to be comprehended and whatnot, and they were just stupid drunk on like 2 coolers or something ridiculous. So obviously that's a red flag. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a problem. It runs in my family. But I gotta get out of this sport. It's wreaked havoc on my self-image, my confidence. I lost my competitive edge, but I was being forced to stay in the sport, and I was no longer able to win competitions and stuff anymore. I was ending up, losing my competitive edge at the worst time, which is at the main competitions. Injuries were my body was in such excruciating pain. And I just didn't want to do it. I wanted to try other things. I knew I had abilities or potential abilities in other areas. And so we would have these meetings. You're like, where does this have to do with the Olympics? Well, they were trying to get roller skating in the Olympics at that time. That's when people could still do it a little better than what is going on now. I don't know what happened there, but they weren't going to put it in the Olympics because all the skating families would get that residual income and things from all the competitions. And I saw the red tape and the politics and how a lot of the administration and the leaders of the skating association were just stunting the sport. They stunted it. Well, then Olympics started to change, and like the NBA and all of that, and like the 90s, a lot. Like more money, sponsorships. Then they're involving Nike and all these clothing companies, and it was accelerating into more of a market of making these athletes into gods, and I just didn't like it no more. I didn't never like competition. I honestly didn't. I didn't mind running a run or doing something like that in track, and then hey, let's go hang out. But I saw so much petty, just cutthroat. I had girls mess with me in the sport. They call them head games. They're called head games, psych outs. I never did them. Not once. I couldn't stand it. I could not stand the competitive side of that sport. I love to social skate, dance on skates, have fun, let's go hang out. I did love pairs with my partner, but not enough because him and I were both forced in the sport. And when he dropped out, I really wanted to drop out too, and the fights and the rage at home with the parents escalated into this obscene level that I couldn't believe it. It was just like, I was born, but I have to do what you want, and never in my life am I going to get to do what I want. With the Lord. They were sabotaging my calling with the Lord. Can you imagine what that'll look like on Judgment Day? I wouldn't want to know. I would not want to know. Oh my God, I would not want to know. Oh my goodness. Well, that was all a long story to say. So I stopped watching the Olympics forever ago. I had years we didn't have a TV. I just saw it getting more bizarro. Especially the track and field women's costumes and stuff. This is a really odd one. But, so we got the dishes done. 20 minutes for a couple days. Well, if you do them every day after each meal, it wouldn't stack up. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, I love you. I wouldn't want to be you. You wouldn't want to be me. But maybe together we can make things better, I'll be. Love you.